The story of Moses leading the Israelites out of captivity in Egypt is one of my favorite stories in the Bible. For me, it's kind of like my journey of faith, and for probably many of you, it kind of represents our journey of faith as led out of captivity into a land that's been promised to us. Sadly, it took the Israelites 40 years to get to that promised land. It was a trip that shouldn't have taken that long. But they needed 40 years to kind of get pruned and kind of prepare to enter the promised land. And if you read the whole story, the Israelites really like to complain, and of course, I can't blame them. If I was in the desert for 40-something years, I would probably be complaining too. It just doesn't sound like a very pleasant thing, setting up camp every night, picking up and moving on the next day. It's not something I would enjoy, I don't think. Not for 40 years especially. But so Moses had come to Egypt to set the Israelites free from slavery. And we know, in case you didn't go to Bible school when you were little or Sunday school, or you haven't heard the story before, I like to give a Reader's Digest 101 on it. So Moses goes to Pharaoh and says, set my people free. And of course, Pharaoh's heart is hardened and he says no. So plagues came across Pharaoh and the people of Egypt. Pharaoh finally gives up and relents. He says, okay, go, let the Israelites go. Then Pharaoh has a change of heart, and he decides to take his army and chase after the Israelites. And they come to the Red Sea, and if you ever seen the movie, I think it's in the Ten Commandments, anybody ever seen it? When the Red Sea parts with Charlton Heston, it's a spectacular moment. And the Israelites walk through safely, and then when the Pharaoh's army tries to go in, they're all drowned. So the Israelites, our story picks up today when the Israelites have crossed over the Red Sea. They've celebrated getting out of Egypt and into freedom. And so now Moses is going to lead the people out into the wilderness, which is never a good thing. When you lead anybody out into the wilderness, it's never a good thing. And for me, wilderness is times that we all go through in our lives when things are not as we wish they would be or hope they would be. Things don't turn out as we planned. And I've often found wilderness times are the times that prune us and prepare us for the work of God. Interesting, people from other nations also joined the Israelites. It wasn't just the Israelites. It was different nationalities, even some Egyptians, that wanted to go and form a new nation that would worship the one God. So they were out in the wilderness. They go 3 days and they find no water. And then they come to a place called Marah, but they couldn't drink the water because it was too bitter. And of course, what do the people do? They complain to Moses, what are we going to drink? Why'd you bring us out here just to let us die of thirst? And God said to Moses, take this piece of wood and throw it in the water and make the water sweet. And that was when God put out one of many, many ordinances and statutes to the people. He said, if you will listen carefully to the voice of God and do what is right in God's eyes and give heed to the commandments of God and keep all of God's statutes, I will not bring upon you any of the diseases that I brought upon the Egyptians, for I am God who heals you. Now, you would have thought if I had gotten a message from God, I would have remembered that kind of, but people didn't. If you read their story, they continued to grumble and complain and doubt the power of God. So they arrived at a wonderful place, a place called Elim. There was 12 springs of water, there was palm trees, there was food. It was a place for the people to kind of get together, to nourish themselves, to rest, and to be in a place of, I see it as a place of refuge, a place of safety, a place of refreshment. And for me, Elim is a place that I see churches trying to create within their faith communities. Elim can be a place where we find ourselves. For me, Elim is sometimes when I go to a retreat center, I'll say this place is a great place to be. You can kind of be quiet. Anybody go out to nature sometimes and feel like you're in a very sacred spot, and you feel a place of refuge, a place where you are close to God. Anybody? Nobody goes out in the wilderness? Everybody stays home and comes to church. Work with me here. Just give me some feedback. It's okay. The whole story that we heard today is about the journey from Marah, bitter water place, to Elim, a place where water was bitter and not able to be drunk, to 12 springs and 70 palm trees. And it's a journey that not only takes place physically for the Israelites, but also takes place inside of them. Now, Moses and his people find themselves in a bitter situation And they had been 3 days in the desert without coming upon a source of water, and the water they had come to was undrinkable. And when Moses cries out to God, what does God do? God makes the water drinkable. I think that's a revelation of the power of our God, and that we can trust our God. That when things happen to us, bad things happen to us, or things that we don't expect, or we're not sure how to handle them, God will give us what we need to get through that journey. God might not take the situation away. God might not just come down and fix everything. I think we always kind of expect out of God, okay, God, I'm in this mess, so I have this challenge, and I want you to just fix it. And I don't think that's how God operates. For me, God is not like a vending machine where you go in and you say, I need this, and you pull the lever, and that, I need that, and you pull the lever. And God's also not like a Santa Claus where we put our wish list out there and just expect God to answer it. I think God gives us what we need to get through the challenges and the situations that we find ourselves in. Just like when our windows were broken, we were thinking, okay, we're going to have to get some money to replace them. We found out that insurance is going to cover a portion of it, which is great. They're going to treat, instead of it being 8 different incidences, it's going to be counted as one. So the insurance company cut us some slack on that. But also people stepped up and started just giving us money. We never asked for a penny. And people just started donating to it. So we're going to be okay with the windows. We'll get them done as quickly as we can, I promise. We're getting a quote tomorrow, so hopefully we'll have them done soon. God uses the people of God to help solve a situation that this church found itself in. Just like I think God uses you all in situations when you can be the presence of God for somebody who's going through a tough time. Whatever bitter obstacles you might encounter in your own life journey, we can count on God to transform them for us. But we have to be willing to do some work. When we cry out to God and say, God, this is a bitter drink I have to drink, I believe that God will sweeten those waters for us and make it so that we can drink the water and find ourselves refreshed and renewed. For me, Elim is a place that we create within a faith community, a place where people can come from life's challenges and find here a place, an oasis in the desert, a place of refuge, a place of strength, a place where they can drink living waters and receive the presence of God here. Today is an important day for us in the life of our congregation. It's back to church Sunday. We kind of say summer's over and we're moving into fall, and Christmas is coming in, I think it's less than 100 days, somebody said. And we've got all that coming up. But it's a time to kind of come together as a faith community and look at perhaps where we've been, but also where we are today and where we are headed. As you traveled this summer, many of you were fortunate enough to get out of town some, you were invited to gather some water from a place where you visited. And if you didn't get to go anywhere, then you were invited to get some water from some place that you went, even if it was the movie theater, get some water and bring it in today. Now, if you didn't bring any water, we have water for you here today. So usually what we do is we sing a song and people come up and dump their water. I'm going to invite, let's start, 2 people to come forward. If you feel the Spirit of God pushing you, moving you, tapping you on the shoulder, and share, even if you didn't bring water, what this faith community means to you, or perhaps what you have found here in this faith community. It doesn't have to be a sermon. It could be 2 sentences. It could be 3 words. So we're going to sit here quietly, and I'm going to ask God to tap 2 people gently, nudge them. The first person that steps up is always, I think, one of the bravest people in the room, if you want that title. So let's just sit quietly, and there we go.
MCCA has been my faith community for many, many years, since the early 70s, when it was over on Girard. And I knew that I was home because I was accepted as who I am and who I would become. And I didn't have to listen to the naysayers and all the negative things that society likes to say about our community of faith or GLBT and all the people that are questioning their sexuality. But I'm glad to be here. I'm blessed. And I don't even know what age I was when that happened, but it's been a long time. God bless you.
Hello, good morning. I started coming maybe 2008, 2009, and it's a great place for me to be home. And then 2011 or so, I got really sick, and I just fell into my own space at home. And just last December or so, I was missing here, and I told a little white lie that I was going to church, but I was passing church, so God didn't let me get away with my little white lie. So I walk in the doors, it's like right around December 2nd, and it was still the Welcome Home Cafe was set up. And as soon as I walked in the doors, I was like, okay, I'm home. And I've been through a lot of stuff. My real parents, my real family, they're not very supportive in some chaos that I've been through in my life. But every time I walk in these doors, I'm home.
Okay, do we have one more person maybe who might want to come up?
Hi, MCC. I want you to all know that you guys mean the world to me. You guys are beautiful. You guys are the LGBTQ people of Albuquerque, and you guys are all amazing. And thank you for all of you being in my life. I cherish you. I can't wait for this year. We're going to have a great year. Happy homecoming.
You know, we hear that a lot where people say my family closed the door on me when I came out to them, or my family has closed the door on me for whatever reason, we don't get along, or we've had disagreements. And so what people do is they create a family of choice. And for many of us, the people at MCC are our family of choice. They're the people that we go to when we need someone to listen to us, someone to just hear what we say, someone to bring us joy or comfort us in our times of trouble or need, someone, a place where we can be in community with each other. And I think community is really important. It's an important thing to have. It's like your support system, and Andy and I talk about that a lot. Andy always likes to say, you get out of it what you give to it. You know, if you put some energy into it, then you will get something out of it. So I hope that if you're new here, that you will think that this is a place for you, know that this is a place for you, to find your place here, to do whatever God has called you to do, or if you just want to sit and just be, that's okay also. We don't all have to be doing something all the time. So sometimes I think we just need to be when we come to a place of healing. So I'm going to invite, as we do our song of response, I'm going to invite people to come forward and join your waters in the large bowl. If you didn't bring water, it's okay. We've got water for you, and you can just visualize perhaps maybe some place that you created in your mind, or some place that you've actually been to that for you represents Elim. And by mingling our waters together, it shows that we're the diversity of our congregation, but also that we are a community of faith, and together we are stronger when we stand together as a faith community. So our song of response is by Marcia Stevens, For Those Tears I Died. She wrote that song when she was 16 years old. I think the name of her band was Children of God. Darren, do you know Marcia Stevens' song? Was it Children of God, or? You don't know. I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was Children of God. And when Marcia Stevens came out as a lesbian, she would get in the mail pages torn out of hymn books of Those Tears I Died. And she had a real struggle with it until she found MCC and found her place of home.